So here is what all you need to do decoupaging. You need the object which you wish like to upcycle, like this beer bottle or this jar. I'm going to do this today. Then you would need your colors. Then you need a thin brush, a sponge brush. If you don't have sponge brush, then you can cut that kitchen sponge and use. Then you need a waste plate to mix colors and a little water and some jute or any lace or any ribbon which you like to have on your bottles or anything. Alright, and the most important part, you need the tissue papers or newspaper or print that you love. Like I have these tissue papers and like these. So you can get these on Amazon or any craft store. I also collect these papers from local shops. You get these kind of tissue papers. So these are perfect. So this is what about the material. Now without any further ado, let's start with the process. So this is Modpodge. It's a brand name, but if you don't have Modpodge right now, you can order it online. And if you don't have access to that as well, what you can do is mix Fevicol, our basic good Fevicol, and water in equal amount, and that will give you ready-made Modpodge. Okay, I'm going to use this because I have it. You can mix and use yours. Alright, so this is your jar. Now you need to choose the paper you would like to transfer on this. So for example, this is one. I would like to transfer this or maybe this. But I think this is too big for this bottle. So I think or this maybe. So I think I'll just go with this. So just see if the design is completely coming on it or not. So it will come like this. So I'm going to go in with this. Alright. So once you choose your paper, you have to paint the base according to the paper. Now if you see, the base of this tissue is white. So this is a white acrylic color. And I'm quickly going to paint this whole thing white. Alright. Here is my paint. I have this, you can grab your kitchen sponge, just dip little on it, little bit, it absorbs paint, so and start dabbing. This is just to create a base so that the paper blends in well. So if you see, the dabbing has created a nice texture on it. If you paint it with a paintbrush, it might not give you that texture. So, and it takes very less paint when you dab it with the sponge. So this is how it looks. You can use chalk paints, you can use acrylics. Chalk paints, they give you a matte finish. Acrylic, they give you a glossy finish. So whatever you like, you can choose. I'm going to dab it on the top to give it a neat look. And then I'm going to do the rims. Can you see this? Alright. If you think there are some creases like these, you can go in with a brush and do it. So this is done. I'm going to let it dry. You have to let it dry completely before you start further process. Alright. So if you see, it's coming to here. See? So what you have to do is cut it. Now when you're cutting a tissue paper, don't use scissors. So can you see this design? I'm going to cut one design like this. So just cut, so take one brush, dip it in water, dip it in water and start cutting. Alright, so how do you cut? You trace it. You trace it on the design like this. Can you see it? Can you see this watermark? And once you do that, it will just tear off like that. Right? So this is how we are going to cut. So I'm quickly going to cut it. Okay. We do not cut it with the scissor because it gives sharp edges and it is not visible. We want to merge it in the backdrop, and that is why we need to have a very such way to cut it. It's very easy, it's very quick. Just quickly keep dipping your brush in water and tearing it away. It's as simple as that. Maybe. Alright, so this is my design. Okay. So these tissue papers are generally in plies. Plies means they have layers. So this one is mostly the good kind of tissue papers. They have 3 plies. So to separate the plies, I'll tell you what I mean. So carefully look and see, do this, and you'll be able to find layers in it. So this is a tissue paper. You can, so this Audrey, I did from a newspaper ad. So this is a newspaper cutting. So you can actually do it with anything. The thinner the paper is, the better is the finish. So that's what. You can even print your own design on a paper and do your artwork. So I'm not able to find the ply. That's very delicate. So I'm just, yes, I found it. So see, can you see this? This is ply. So there are 3 plies. Mostly in good tissue papers there are 3 plies. So you need to separate them and be very gentle because you might end up tearing it. So 1 ply. There's 1 more and you separate it. Go on. It's a little complicated to separate the plies, other than, yes, I found it. See. Just be very gentle. This is the last layer. Gently remove it. And if you're clumsy like me, then be extra careful. Alright, so here is 1 layer. Can you see? Now the fun part. This is a bottle and I'm going to stick it on the bottle like this. Alright, so now you have to see the placement. Now I feel that I can cut this flower and I can paste it here. So you have to see the design and figure it out yourself. Get started. This and this. This is Modpodge, and I'm going to apply it in very thin layer. This is my brush. You can use any flat brush. I have this sponge brush, and simply put a layer on it. Alright, it has to be thin. And now take your design and start pasting it. See? And when you're pasting, just be very gentle. You don't want to tear the paper and you don't want creases and bubbles. They will come, like little bit is fine, but just be very gentle, very, very gentle. Keep doing this with your hands, very gently. Okay. So, yes. Okay, so slowly paste the whole paper on this. Make sure the layer is thin, otherwise the tissue will crease and will not look neat. See, just end is left, so I'm going to just do this end. Alright, so the transfer has been made. Okay, so once it is nicely stuck on the bottle, now this is an empty space. I'm going to stick my design here. Alright, to finish it. See, now it looks complete. Now what I'm going to do is whatever extra parts I had, like this and this, I'm going to cut them off. But make sure before you do that, everything is nicely pasted. like this. Now I have a little chip here because the paint wasn't dried completely, but it's alright, I can cover it. Alright, so this is how it looks. Now I'm going to just remove the if you have sandpaper, you can sand it. If you have nail filer, you can file it. Just have to make it neat. That's it. So I'm done with the edges. Once you're happy with the transfer, you think it's done nicely. Alright, so this is dry and I'm going to put in more color to make it more real looking, like it's a painting. So I'm going to take some color which matches my tissue paper. This is a mango yellow, acrylic mein, and I'm going to dab them here around the design. Amount of paint and take off extra and start dabbing. I would want to mix a little yellow in it. So essentially you are merging it, right? I might take a little yellow as well to merge it well. You can skip this step basically, but it makes it look more real, so I'm going to do it. Few dabs and I'm going to show you what actually it does to the design. First, it blends the creases if there are any creases. Like this design here, there is a crease here, right? You can see the separate design. So if I merge, if I put little paint in between, it won't look like it is separate. Very light dabbing, very little paint, and you should be good. See, can you see? It looks more real now. There is less of white, right? So this is what I was talking about. And you don't need to have good painting skills to do this. It's very simple. Just take a sponge brush and lightly dab. And also I learned decoupage with test and trial, and there's no shortcuts to it. You have to try it until you find your piece looking seamless. Alright, now you can have a closer look. It looks neat, right? Now, once the paint's dry, you have to cover it with a flat brush. You can take brush like this and simply dip it in Modpodge and do this. Cover it to give it a nice finish. It will protect the artwork from dust and water. You can go in and create 2 layers, but just make sure before you do 2, the first one is completely dried off. I have tied a jute twine here to make it look better. You can tie anything. You can even add some elements like old key, hang it to this twine or anything. I hope you enjoyed this session on decoupage. Do upcycle something of your own today. It is the need of the hour to understand what we buy and what we throw out in the nature. Our garbage should be our responsibility. So be mindful of what you're doing. Plastic bottles should not be bought, and if bought in, you can do such crafts with it. Also, you don't have to be very crafty to upcycle stuff. Place plants, money plants stolen from your neighbor. Take a cutting from anywhere and put it in the bottle. You can put candles into it. I'm going to show you the styling later on. So just be mindful of what you're buying and what you're throwing back to the earth. All right. I would like to thank you so, Delhi, for giving me this opportunity and coming on this platform. I hope you like this DIY. If you would like to see more upcycle decor projects and green spaces, then do follow me, The Greenish Affair. I'm signing off right here. Bye bye.